All right on cue. 7 o'clock. I know many people are going to be joining here from the comfort of their home, which is the point. You don't have to go to another event. You could take care of your kids all while watching us talk to some of the coolest community leaders that have a huge impact on here. Welcome, everyone. I'm Chris Wallace, local community connector, real estate professional here in the Tri-Cities with App Properties in St. Charles. I spend a lot of time talking with residents and families and small business owners in the area about what they're seeing on the ground. So that's what makes tonight super fun, because now we get to do that live in front of all of you. So thanks for joining us. Like I said, what I love about being in this space that I'm in to work in the community that I serve and live in as a Geneva resident of Mill Creek is I get a front row seat, a lot like Sam does, who I'm excited to introduce, on what people care about in this community. And I know those that we're speaking to tonight, 5 amazing people, care deeply about the community as well. So for me, it's not just housing or schools, development, local business. All of it connects. So it's definitely a big picture here. And so for anyone watching tonight, whether you own, rent, thinking about moving to the area, moved out of the area, and just curious on what's going on back in an area you once called home, these community leaders and their efforts are driving change that really affect everyone in the community, no matter where you live. So I'm excited to be here and looking forward to connecting with my pal Sam Kraft. Sam, thanks for joining me today. It's good to be your co-host.
Thanks, Chris. Great to be here. Hey, everyone. I'm Sam Kraft, the founder of Tri-City Central. For those who are newer to TCC, we are a free independent publication covering Batavia, Geneva, St. Charles, and several of the surrounding communities. We currently have 13,000 local subscribers and change. And really the whole idea behind Tri-City Central in general is to give local readers a single, reliable source to always know what's happening in these communities. Everything from local news and events to business spotlights and restaurants, weekly obituaries, that type of thing. The main format of the publication is an email newsletter that I send every Monday and Thursday morning, but you can always visit tricitycentral.com and there's plenty of content there. So that brings me to tonight, Tri-Cities Live, our first ever panel. More than just reporting about the community, I think it's key for local journalism and really important that we create a conversation within the community. The people on tonight's panel they're business and civic leaders, but they're also our neighbors. They're building things in this community. They're governing here. They're building businesses. So tonight's a chance for us to hear directly from them about their vision for the Tri-Cities, why they're so invested in this place, and maybe get a sneak peek at some exciting things to come in the near future. So I'm pumped to chat with everybody. I know Chris is too.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. You want to kick us off?
Yeah, no, I'm excited. And, really the goal of tonight was to make sure we're connecting with at least one, in this case, multiple community leaders from each of our Tri-Cities. So one of our future guests will be happy to know, in no particular order, we're starting north to south in St. Charles to keep things simple for everyone, with probably the most talked about commercial development that's happened in St. Charles in years, for sure, and really transforming what's going on the east side. And that's Pat Greco and his team at G90 Partners. They are the brains behind Fox Haven Square and everything that's happening and coming to you guys all very, very soon. I just ate, but I'm so excited to talk about all the amazing restaurants and everything you have going on. Pat, thanks for joining us. How are we doing?
Oh, great. Appreciate you guys having me, Chris and Sam, and look forward to hearing from the other panelists and hearing what else is going on in Fox Valley. But we're really excited about what we have going on over there on Kirk and North Avenue.
Yeah, I mean, as Chris alluded to, Pat, Fox Haven Square has been generating a ton of excitement here in the Tri-Cities. I've been covering it and hearing a lot about it. But for people who are hearing about it for the first time, how would you describe the vision behind the project and what people can expect?
Yeah, no. So Fox Haven Square is a family project. I would say the vision was born from my father's goal eventually of having kind of an open space commercial development that was centered around hospitality, which is if anyone knows our family, knows that that's the business. We've always been in the food business. My grandfather came here in the late 50s, and typical American dream story, but we got started in the food service business in 1990, expanded into cheese manufacturing, and have been servicing local restaurants and distributors in the Chicago market and in other national markets for the last 36 years. So the vision was to create an open space, hospitality anchored development that would, bring the community together and offer a lot of complementary uses like fitness, retail, shopping, and obviously food and bev and entertainment. So that's really the vision. And, it's been almost 3 years in the making. I think we signed the LOI to acquire the 8 acres there adjacent to the Jewel and existing retail in April of 2023. So it's been a lot of work, entitlement wise, regulatory, with the surrounding tenants under the reciprocal easement agreement, and getting everyone bought into the vision and what we created. And again, it's been a lot of work for our team, but everyone's been all hands on deck, and we're right around the corner from opening. So it's really starting to feel real. I can get into some of the tenants. We're about 80% leased, and we have a few things kicking around that are exciting, but we'll have our first concept start opening here in the first week of May, and then it'll kind of be a rolling start throughout the rest of 26, culminating in the pickleball venture opening towards the end of the year, and also Lumonati's in the former On the Border building. So it's going to be an exciting year. It's going to be a build, but we're really excited to deliver it, and we think it's going to be a big draw, not only for Fox Valley, but even other surrounding suburbs, and so it's exciting.
Yeah, no, I mean, talk about the ripple effect of building something, especially in that location. It's such a gateway to Wheaton, Carroll Stream, just as you head down 64 there. So you're going to be bringing in, folks east and west, and obviously all over the western suburbs. Talk about what you envision for that a little bit more. This being not just a typical shopping center or, outdoor mall. It really feels like, between some of the events you guys are kind of hinting at, and just even the people you brought in, some of these tenants, that you want it to be more of a community gathering space that means a lot to your family. Just talk more about some of those tenants and what people can expect by pulling into the parking lot. Oh, we lost him. We lost Pat.
Yeah.
Oh, he's back.
Sorry about that, guys.
We're back. That's live TV, baby.
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry to the
I thought that was a test.
But
good.
No, I heard your question, Chris, and so yeah, I think the vision was, again, to bring, as I think everyone's seen this, as after COVID and everything, and with people not commuting into the urban centers, even not just here in Chicago but nationally, you're seeing these suburbs really become more of the centers where the local residents will get their entertainment and spend their money and spend their time. And so we were kind of following that trend, and what we thought and what we realized is that St. Charles is a little bit further west than maybe some of these Chicago level operators have branched out to. A lot of them have gone to Elmhurst of the world, and the Oak Brooks of the world, and the Hinsdales. And so our vision was to tap into the Greco and Sons customer network, and bring Chicago level operators to St. Charles and to Fox Valley, which really hasn't happened, and at least since we've been here for about the last 30 years. So you look at some of the slate. We have Brad Parker Hospitality, which is the founder and owner of brands like Hampton Social and Nisos and Costera down in Chicago. This is they have stuff in Barrington, but this was their first time coming as far west and north as St. Charles. So they're going to be opening up a concept called Match House, 20,000 square feet, pickle, padel, they're going to have a cafe and then a big restaurant component that'll be, I would say similar to a Hampton Social, which is an unbelievable concept in and of itself. So that's really a big star here. We also have Fire and Wine from the Geneva Hospitality Group. They are this will be their third Fire and Wine outside of Glen Ellen and Park Ridge. Great concept. If any of the viewers or Chris or Sam, if you've been there, it's really incredible. And I got to say, being a part of the development, I've been inside their space, and it is absolutely it's absolutely gorgeous. And they spared no expense and no detail. And you actually feel like you're in, you're in Chicago when you're in their space. They'll be opening first week of May. And I should go back. Match House is projected to be open Q4. So we're excited about both of those. Another concept that we're really excited about is called Simple EJs from Eric Bayless and Jim Heflin, previously with the Big Onion Hospitality Group that had banners like Fat Pour and Hopsmith in Chicago. Unbelievable operators. They have I don't want to steal their thunder, but they have the largest, it's not a TV because it's like a panel. They have the largest TV screen outside of the DraftKings at Wrigley Field in Illinois. So that'll be the place to go watch a Bears game, or any other sporting events for that matter. But they're going to be opening first week of May. We also have, I can't say it yet, but there's a Hispanic concept that's coming that we're negotiating a lease with, and I think everyone will be very excited about it. But I do respect confidentiality as a corporate attorney, so I don't want to say anything.
Come on, Pat. No, it's okay.
We put myself in hot water, but that's coming. We also have Rosebud Steak.
Uh-oh. We lost Pat again. He was about to tell us some juice.
He's about to break some news.
I know. Now we can sit here until he comes
Rosebud
back.
Steakhouse, as I was saying, they will be joining. I apologize for the technical issues.
Oh. And this is live. Tri-City's live. He looks great, though. The glasses are
here.
good.
He's just doing his best statue impression.
Yeah, that's right. So while we wait for Pat, because I think we have one or two more questions for him before we get into our next panelists, I'm excited about this. I feel like there's a lot of enthusiasm around it, and it's not just restaurants. So, it's a good opportunity to, there's so many places to shop. And I feel like our food scene, which we're going to hear more about from our next folks, is going to be at another level for the Western suburbs. Oh, he's back. New angle.
Sorry, Chris. I'll be quick, and then I know I've gone over time, but I just want to introduce our tenants and any other questions. But I apologize for the technical issues. But Rosebud Steakhouse will be joining. They're in obviously in Chicago, also in Northwest Indiana and the Dallas, Texas market, and they're slated to open roughly July. And then we have a number of other tenants in different uses. We have OS Salon is a high-end hair salon. Glow Legree, which is a new dynamic Pilates concept out of California. We have another great food user called Swank, which is from the 100 South Full of Beans restaurant group. And that'll be a high-end European-style cafe and wine bar. Very high-end, beautiful interior. Really a really high-end Chicago level type lounge. And then we're talking to a number of other concepts, a high-end sports memorabilia store. We're talking to a Hands and Stone. So potentially a higher end yoga studio of an up and coming brand. So it's really going to be an active site. We're going to plan events like we're going to do a St. Patrick's Day celebration. We're going to do a big Christmas and holiday winter gathering kind of display, potentially even having we're looking at putting a ice rink in the middle of the piazza area for the duration of the winter months. As just another attraction and reason to come out. We're going to be doing a weekly concert series throughout the summer months. So the goal of Foxhaven is to be a true open space entertainment and dining destination, and to bring families out and for it to be a really interactive space within the St. Charles community. So again, I apologize for the different issues we've had, but I wanted to make sure that I shout out to all of the really great operators we have come in that we're fortunate to have, and they believed in our vision, and I think it's become kind of self-efficacy now, and there's a lot of buzz. And again, I don't expect us. I would be shocked if we weren't 100% leased up here by the end of the year with everything going on and with this project opening with such a bang. So again, so sorry about the issues, and now I'm sweating.
Oh, no worries, Pat. I'm pumped about this. And honestly, my next question was going to be to ask about some details around those concepts, but you took care of that for me. So that's awesome. I'm pumped to catch a Bears game on that huge TV. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers it.
I think it's safe to say the community.
Sorry, say that again, Sam.
No, we're just saying at the end of the day, like, we're excited about all the different concepts that you have come in, the people that are obviously bought into you, like you said, and heck, just hearing a Greco say piazza sounds way better than I could possibly say it. So thank you for joining us. We're excited. I know a lot of the community is excited to get out and check it out. So early May, we're only a month away. So looking forward to seeing all you guys are bringing to the table, and thanks for all the effort you're bringing to the Tri-Cities. All right, I think we are ready to bring in another St. Charles staple. This place is Where Should We Go? Graceful Ordinary. Where Should We Go? Graceful Ordinary. Brunch, Graceful Ordinary. And now that's just the beginning. Although I guess there were beginnings before the beginning. Chris and Megan Curren, household names now in St. Charles. We are so pumped that you are here. I know it's 7:15. That's primetime dinner time. Thankfully, we did this on a Wednesday to help you guys a little bit, but definitely not a Friday or Saturday night. We're just excited to chat with you. If you don't know who these two are, you haven't been to Graceful Ordinary, I don't know what's wrong with you. It's one of the most beautiful restaurants in the Tri-Cities ever, not just of recent, and their food backs it up. So Chris and Megan, thank you for being here. We're so pumped to chat with you.
Thank you, Chris and Sam, for having us, and thank you for that amazing introduction. It was very kind.
So, I mean, I'm super curious about the new concepts, but before we get to that, I thought, a lot of people in the Tri-Cities know about the Graceful Ordinary. Many people have been there, but they might not know the story of you two and how it started, how you met, and how you started building this together here in St. Charles and the Tri-Cities. So do you want to share a little bit of that story?
Sure. Yeah. It's a journey of 16 years now. Yep. We met when we both lived in Chicago and worked in Chicago back in 2010. We worked at different concepts at the time, and we met through mutual friends. And then shortly after we started dating, we eventually did start working for the same hospitality group downtown, different restaurants. We were never in the same building, but we worked for the same group up until COVID. And right before we landed this amazing property. So that happened right before COVID. Prior to that, we had been trying to open up something closer to home. We moved out to the suburbs when our son turned 1. So that was back in 2014. And we were commuting for several years to Chicago, working in this industry, which I'm sure a lot of people know, long hours, and then an hour commute one way on top of that. So we had been trying to open up something closer to home. The first thing we thought of was the Fox Valley area. We knew that if we were going to open up a concept similar to what we were used to working in, there would be no better area than the St. Charles, Geneva, and Batavia area. So for a couple of years, we were looking in just about every vacant building in this area. And then COVID happened. And the initial investor that we had backed out, understandably so. And we were both furloughed. And we thought, okay, well, I guess our dream of opening up a restaurant will be put on hold for a little bit longer. And then May of 2020, we got a text message from a very close friend who put us in contact with the Hearst family. They own Frontier Development, and they said, hey, these gentlemen want to talk to you guys. And we had a conversation with them, and they had heard about us. They had just closed on this amazing building, they said, and they envisioned a restaurant on the first floor. And we both looked at each other and we were like, well, which building? Because we've seen them all. And they told us the former BMO Harris Bank right on the Fox River. And we were like, well, dang, that ups the ante a little bit. We were originally shooting for a small mom and pop restaurant, similar to what he owned when he owned his restaurant in Chicago, like a 45, 50 seater restaurant. And fast forward, here we are with a 5,200 square foot restaurant with outdoor terrace space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what a giant failure that was. Doing something small during peak of COVID. It's amazing how many small business owners, restaurants or otherwise, have a similar story where it was like, yeah, started this idea, then COVID. And here you guys are, a staple in the community. And speaking of that, when you guys open Graceful, before we get into some of the new concepts coming through your hospitality group, what was the, now that you were like, okay, we have this space, I've been to charity events at the space. You guys just really can do it all. Talk about tying everything you guys do into the community you serve and how important that is to you guys.
Yeah, I think right from the get-go, we understood that we're lucky enough to do what we love to do for a living. And the only way that we were going to be able to do that was with the support of the community. And so we owed something back to the community because we knew that it was going to be a reciprocal relationship. And I think that we've always wanted to give back as much as we can just in life in general. Even before we had the restaurant, for years with Megan's family, we worked closely with Cal's Angels, and we were, a family that did that. We knew that this is a special place and that we really want to see it thrive as much as possible, selfishly for ourselves, right? Because if it's a thriving community, then we have a great location, but also because, we think that it's important to just do that from an ethical standpoint.
And it was such a prominent building in such a prominent area. This is downtown. We knew it. We wanted it to be more than just food and drink. We wanted to be able to support community events and support local groups and non-for-profits and schools and host as many of those as we could, but also be a restaurant, full service, but still be a place where we can also accommodate special occasions. So we've held weddings here and anniversary celebrations and birthdays. And, yes, it's to invest back into the community because I think that's important. I think when you do that, your community is more likely to invest back in you. But also, kind of get to Chris's point, selfishly, it makes it worth the long hours. It makes those long hours worth it for us in the end, because it has to be more than just food and drink, right? Otherwise, we'd be crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I mentioned the new concepts earlier, and I wrote about those when you announced them recently. In Tri-City Central, people seem really excited about them. You're doing them through your hospitality group. Can you give us an overview of what people can expect from the new spots you're planning to open up?
Yeah. Well, we're really excited about them too. Our hospitality group that we started, O&D Hospitality, named after our children, Oliver and Delilah, because, this is an important family affair for us. But we've got a few things that we're working on. We're working on an Italian concept in downtown Aurora, right around the corner from Paramount Theater on Broadway. We're really excited for that one. It kind of harkens back to where I started my career. I started in French and Italian cooking. And so this one feels like going almost back home for me, for working in the kitchen from a menu aspect. And it's a beautiful, 100-plus-year-old building in the downtown area, which we really like because it reminds us a lot of our time in Chicago with the architecture and the urban environment and all the arts that are going on in downtown Aurora. We're really excited about being a part of that community too.
Yeah, that's a fun one too. So Italian restaurant, full service, but it'll also be a Pastifico. So we will be making all of our pastas on site, and they will be available for purchase as well. So if you didn't want to dine in with us that night, you could pop in, take a look at our pasta counter, and you can choose any variation of fresh pasta, jarred sauces, fresh focaccia. You can take it all home, and you can make it at home. Pizzas to go as well. We just finalized the design of our wood-fired oven pizza, our pizza oven, and it's gorgeous. So that's Vicolo, which will be in Aurora. And then in St. Charles, we've got two other concepts that we are bringing to everybody. One is the Idle Hour, and that's right across the street from us over at 11 South 2nd Avenue. And that is our members-only cigar lounge and retail shop that will be open to the public. So this is kind of between us and our partners. This is something that I think him in particular and our partners have all dreamt about, having a space like this. And we are just elevating it with the level of hospitality that we deliver to our guests. So members only, people will be able to purchase their locker. There will be monthly dues, but that will take care of things like the hospitality staff. So complimentary snacks that'll be curated to the cigars that you choose. We will have complimentary non-alcoholic beverages, so like sparkling water, still, juices, sodas, coffee, espresso, things like that. It will also be a BYOB lounge. So we do have our BYOB license in addition to our tobacco retail license. So that allows guests to bring in their own spirit, which we will keep locked on site outside of our hospitality hours. But during hospitality hours, they will be able to enjoy that with them and any of their guests that they choose to bring. And we will also supply all the accoutrements. So if you like a good old fashioned, we will make sure that we've got the big ice cube and all the things to make it, and the staff there to assist you. And then the other concept that is very still early on in the works, and TBD, I can't quite mention the exact location yet because we just switched it up actually. Yeah. So this will actually be,
come on,
it'll be in a bigger location.
Oh, cool.
But once we finalize that, then we'll be able to give out the exact location. But it's Riley, RILY. It's an acronym that stands for Remember, I Love You, which was something that used to be written on telegrams during World War II. Loved ones would send them to soldiers who were overseas, and that's the acronym they would sign off with. And that's kind of the era that we're trying to capture with Riley. It will be a jazz club and a seafood raw bar. And I'm very, very excited about that concept.
That's incredible. I'm like, first of all, I'm hungry again. This is a problem. Second of all, when you tied in the name to World War II letters that were being written to folks there, like the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I feel like St. Charles is going through this, like we're modernizing from talking to you guys into Pat, but also specifically with the last two concepts you mentioned, we're like kind of going back in time, but today. Like I think about like all the St. Charles history and you know all the different venues that have come and gone in the area, and you guys are like reviving things that don't really exist anywhere else. I can't think of either of those concepts existing in the western suburbs. It's certainly at a high level and how you guys plan to do it. Last question, because I can tell like leaving a legacy for your kids. I was doing the math while you were talking. So if your son was 1 in 2014, that means he's now 13 or almost 13.
Yep.
As far as leaving a legacy for the kids, are they getting into the food restaurant scene? Are they like helping you design the wood-fired oven? Like talk about it, how important it is for them to see your visions, because now they're going into a critical stage of life and you guys are growing as well. So it's kind of a unique thing you're doing as a family.
It really is. Yeah.
I think, funny story. When I remember when we were building out the restaurant, the very early stages, our son was first grade, I think, and it was during COVID. So they're on Zoom. And I remember we were in the kitchen talking and we overheard him and his teacher asked, well, what do you want to do when you grow up? And his response was, well, I wanted to be a ninja, but my parents are opening a restaurant, so I guess I'm going to have to do that. He doesn't really seem to take into it. They both spend a lot of time here. Our daughter is much more interested in all of it. Whether or not either one of them want to do this for a living, it's up to them. I don't think either of us would want that for them, just because it's a labor of love, but it takes you away a lot from family and loved ones, and it becomes a big part of your life just because of the hours that you're putting in and the hard work. That being said, if you love it, it's kind of hard to not do it, which is why, you know, we enjoy it still so much, even though all the sacrifices that we make on the side. So I think more importantly for me is I'm glad that they can see us working so hard. That, you know, my hope is that this, whatever they choose to do in life, it instills in them the fact that if you work hard and you are a good person and you try as hard as you can, that good things will come, no matter what they are. And so, you know, that's really what I enjoy about them being a part of it at the current ages that they're at.
And I'm just glad that we're all able to be together. You know, when we both had to commute to Chicago to work, we were separated and there was no way around it. Now it's, you know, we've worked events together. We've done a few charity events over at the venue at Gobert's Pumpkin Farm, and we've brought the kids along with us, and they're plating, and, you know, they might not choose to do this when they get older, but at least we can do this, what we do best, and still be together. And that's nice.
Yeah.
Well, this was fun spending time with you guys. I wish, you know, we could talk forever and ever, and I want to know, how do I become a member? Like, are we getting famous jazz musicians to come to St. Charles? Like, so many questions, so many ideas that you don't want to hear. So thankfully, we're moving into our next phase, which is Geneva. But before we do that, thank you guys. We as a community come in and out of your restaurant, and I think everyone watches enough Top Chef to know that it's really hard, or watches, you know, anything on Food Network to know it's really hard to do what you do, and certainly to scale. So congratulations on your success. We're rooting for you and all the growth going forward, and can't wait to, you know, step foot in some of your new concepts coming here over the next months and year or so. So thank you guys, and bravo for building something really great.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for having us.
Appreciate it.
All right, we are now moving south, just right along the river. And if you ask anyone to name people that have had an impact in Geneva in the last couple decades, there's only a few names that can be mentioned. And Mayor Kevin Burns, by far and away, is definitely one of those names. And we're really fortunate that he's taken time out of his busy schedule to join us when he's out, you know, really rooting for our community and its citizens and the future of Geneva. So Mayor Burns, thank you for being here. We're excited to hear from you. Hope you're doing well and having a good evening so far.
Life is good. Thank you.
Uh-oh. It's so good that was a whole prank. Oh, there he is. He's back.
I'm back. I texted Megan and Chris while you were talking with them.
Oh, good.
I'm big fans of them as well. They do an extraordinary job. And of course, kudos to Mr. Greco and his family for the exciting news happening in St. Charles. I've only been to St. Charles once, but it's a lovely, lovely community. And it's delighted to follow two St. Charles in with just me.
Well, Mr. Mayor, thanks so much for joining us. You've served as the mayor of Geneva for many years. I can't remember the exact number of years, so you'll have to fill us in on that. But you've obviously been a central figure in the direction of the city and where it is today. So I'm curious, why are you so invested in Geneva, and what motivates you to stay so involved in leading the community?
It's a good question. And I believe the simplest and most powerful answer is all the traits that I inherited from my mom and dad were traits, I believe, cemented in public service. When I was growing up in Geneva, we moved here in 1974. And my mom and dad were involved in the community in virtually every aspect, whether it be school referendums, park district referendums, running for city council, serving on the Planning and Zoning Commission, serving as president of the park board, or perhaps most noteworthy, the founders of the Geneva High School All Sports Booster Club. My mom and dad taught me and my two brothers and sister that to enjoy a community is one thing, but to participate is something else. And no matter what your talents are, contribute those as best you can. So I learned from an early age, do what you can with what you have, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. And I have enjoyed these last 25 years as mayor and the 4 years prior to that on the council.
That's really incredible. And we'll say it a couple times, but thank you for all the service you provided and the city council. I know it's a team effort. You have great people around you that also have very impactful histories here in the community. And we know, and probably as much as anybody else, that Geneva is a city that cares deeply about its identity and the future, whether that's historic preservation or, its downtown character or just responsible growth. How do you balance preserving what people love about Geneva, but also pushing for and planning for things in the future this community needs now and for generations to come?
Chris, the best way to explain that is if it's like a teeter-totter. On the one side, it's let's advance, let's chase every possible opportunity, let's attract every possible thing we can. The other side of the teeter-totter is let's stay the way we are. So in that middle point, or the fulcrum, are the decision-making and that process there too. Everybody in Geneva has at one point or another contributed their time, talent, and opinions regarding what should be done, or what, perhaps most importantly, what should be avoided. Geneva is a community of 10 square miles, or another way to look at it, about 6,000 acres. That's it. So while we sometimes hear, golly, let's be like a Elmhurst, Naperville, Oak Brook, or what have you, we'll never be that. We don't have the land for it. So you focus on what's here, the limitations we have in terms of land, and what can we do to advance responsible growth, as you mentioned, achieve significant goals while still not abandoning our authenticity.
So in terms of trying to achieve particular goals, obviously it was a huge topic here in Geneva. I live in Geneva over the past several weeks, and that was the public safety referendum. It obviously didn't go quite as the city had planned, but are you able to share any details on what might be next in that realm and other options the city might be pursuing?
Well, I was quoted in the papers, and I am sincere when I said that we are motivated to continue to engage and to learn about how best to move forward. And we are in that process internally. We are meeting with council members and community leaders with respect to some of the insight and perspectives as to why the referendum failed. And it's no one's surprise, we failed greatly. So it's back to what we believe is in everyone's best interest, to refine, to perhaps recalibrate, to rethink, and then to represent an opportunity with everyone's input. I would like to say for the record, however, that there are sometimes comments made that all of a sudden there was this plan approved and it was presented to the community. Nothing could be further from the truth. The plan was developed over multiple months, and that's what we expect. That's what we want. That is central to our strategic plan, to have an informed, engaged citizenry and city council working together. So that process will begin again very soon.
Yeah, and we certainly, for anything we've seen, and you try to understand both sides as somebody in the community. I think that's valuable to make a vote one way or the other. Is make sure you understand all the facts, and we've seen some of the needs from a public safety police station standpoint that we have, and I know certainly can't speak for the community of Geneva and the Tri-Cities, but supporting our officers and people that serve our community is obviously super important. So we're excited to see what's to come from that on both sides, and everyone's stepping up. You mentioned, some of the fact that we're landlocked here in Geneva and there's only so much space to do cool things. One of those hot topic spots, and I think you know where I'm going, is the Mill Race Inn property. It's come up numerous times, and
I thought you were going to talk about Mill Creek, but go ahead.
Yes, we know. I'm Mill Creeker, so I'm not Geneva proper, but we'll save that for offline, Mr. Mayor. It's just why has this been such a complex decision, or not even decision, but conversation for the city? I know we're not going to get into particulars tonight, but just your thoughts around how we can see a vision forward. And everyone's got ideas, right?
Everybody
but
has
figuring
ideas,
out the preservation and use of that property, just given that it's right here and so centrally located to the river, and what makes Geneva so unique. So
Right. Everybody has an idea. Everybody has the solution. Everybody has recommendations. There's a couple of points that I believe everybody understands, but sometimes doesn't quite articulate because it doesn't serve their particular narrative. Number one, when the city council many years ago landmarked that structure, I believe that decision, while I believe it was 9-1, what surprised even some folks in the community, but was celebrated as, okay, we can, quote, preserve that structure and then develop around it. As time went on, plans were submitted, concepts were considered, and this is critical. This is where I will say respectfully, the city council, and I'm part of it, the city council balked at an opportunity despite saying in public meetings, we like the concept, it meets our standards, go ahead and submit. And the owners of that property submitted plans and the plans were denied. And that's where that stalemate began. No question about it. No question about it. From that day forward, conversations have been held about how best to move forward. And I want to say this very succinctly. The owners of that property have a right to develop on that property as they see fit based on the current laws existing in the city of Geneva. And the one opportunity that still remains to that property owner is as follows. If they submit a redevelopment agreement, not a permit to tear down the structure, but a redevelopment agreement, that redevelopment agreement, while there's a courtesy review by the Historic Preservation Commission, for example, the Historic Preservation Commission's review does not have the same weight as a vote. The council, therefore, would only need 6 affirmative votes to approve that redevelopment agreement. That's the clearest path forward. Will it please everybody? Hell no. Will it move things forward? Yeah, most likely. I can tell you right now, Chris and Sam, and everybody tuning in, no matter what happens on that site, including nothing, 50% of the people are delighted, 50% of the people are upset. And that's just the situation we're in. And I also want to say for the record, I am not a fan of, I am not a party to, and I will never join the chorus of ridiculing or disparaging the family who owns that land, for they have done extraordinary work in our community, in Batavia, in St. Charles, and elsewhere. And they are good people. We find ourselves in a difficult position, but we should not be name calling simply because they happen to own the land and they want to do something perhaps different from what other people want to do.
Well, thanks so much, Mr. Mayor, for that background and all those details. I think it's just incredibly valuable for people to have that type of context around that issue.
And I'm going to shock the hell out of you guys right now. My cell phone number is 630-742-8916. If anybody wants to talk to me about this topic or any topic, text me or call me. I did block Chris Wallace earlier, but anybody else can call me or text me.
All right, that's on the record. One more quick question for you before we wrap up. So,
of course.
Recently, I surveyed my audience about their favorite things about the Tri-Cities, and one thing that came up repeatedly as much as anything was Geneva's unique, walkable downtown shopping and restaurant district. I'm curious what goes into maintaining that, and what are some of the challenges in keeping that going from year after year?
The challenges are recognizing what success we have, and I want to use a phrase, and comparison is the thief of joy. It frustrates me as an elected official and someone who's lived there now going on 53 years that sometimes we tend to compare ourselves to other communities, or we might want to be like other communities. We have to stop that. We have to be the best Geneva we can be based on what we have available. When I became mayor, I believe there were approximately 15, maybe 15 restaurants. We now have over 120 restaurant licenses in Geneva. Geneva was a town, as many of you tuning in will know, it's where you shopped. And then at nighttime, you wanted to have a little dinner, maybe have a little bit of fun, you went to St. Charles or elsewhere. Now, all of a sudden, over the last couple of decades, we have this booming central business district that attracts people who want to shop and experience all the independent stores and store owners. And then they stick around for the extraordinary dining opportunities as well. Unless, of course, they're heading to Graceful Ordinary, which I respect as well.
Well, Mr. Mayor, again, like every guest, we could really go into a lot of things with you, but I think for the sake of time, most importantly, and the fact that I'm gonna, find a way to get me unblocked from reaching out to you. I'll have to reach out to one of your other cell phone numbers. I will. We're just really grateful that you could be here with us. Like Sam said, appreciate the insights, the dedication to the community. It's a very passionate community, which I know you appreciate, and as do I, which is why we're here in downtown Geneva at Downtown Glory, which I failed to mention at the beginning, filming our section of all of this. So shout out to Downtown Glory and Eric and Erica, the amazing owners. And just thank you. Appreciate your time jumping on with us. Looking forward to future discussions. And I'm
going to stick around to listen to my colleague from Batavia too. I want to tune into her commentary. So I'm looking forward to that.
Amazing. Well, it's a perfect segue. You were built for this, Mr. Mayor. We're excited to welcome our final guest for this evening. Thanks for everyone that's been tuning in. We've now made it down the river a little further south to Batavia, to someone that has created a lot of change and is working every day diligently on bringing things together for Batavia, and also happens to be co-owner of a coffee shop. I don't know if people have heard of it. It's called Limestone or Limestone. I can't remember what it's called. But Leah Lemon, thank you for joining us. We're excited to chat with you and just learn all the things that you're passionate about when it comes to Batavia. How's your evening going?
It's going great. It's going great. I have really enjoyed listening to everybody tonight, and thank you, Chris and Sam, for hosting this. This is so much fun.
Yeah, I tell you what, every time that I have a morning coffee meeting in Batavia, I always go to Limestone, but I always try to get there super early because that place is usually slammed once you get a little bit later into the morning.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, a word of advice, if you're trying to plan a meeting, don't do it at 10 a.m. on the nose. Do like 9:35 with somebody or 10:25. So that's my advice.
Yeah,
there you go.
I've learned that. So, I mean, on that note, Limestone seems to have become more than a place to just grab coffee. It seems to have become a really popular community gathering place. Was that your intention from the beginning, or did it kind of evolve organically that way?
I can 100% say that was our intention. So, and for those who don't know, so myself and my co-owner friend Joy own Limestone currently, but we actually bought the business from previous owners back in 2018 who had already established Limestone in downtown Batavia. So when we found out they were retiring, it was something I heard through a grapevine, and it was just a time that I was very excited, and it just felt like the right opportunity at the right time. So we pursued, and here we are all these years later. But it was always our deep goal in our heart to make it like a community space and to keep it a community space that it already was. So,
and it still is. And now you've expanded into the library space. By the way, when's the next Limestone location opening up? Is there something in the works? I mean, every guest is kind of, I guess the mayor didn't. I know he's listening, so I'm giving him a hard time. But everyone's had like a little tea, pun intended, to spill. You got anything for us?
I haven't told, Mayor Burns this yet, but we plan on taking over Geneva. So no.
There you go. Perfect. I love it. But I think it's important to know all the different hats that you wear in Batavia, not just business owner, but alderperson, Main Street board member. You've been in the community for quite a while. Like, what is it about Batavia for you that's made you want to invest your time and energy there, and share a little bit more with people, everything else you're working on outside of running a coffee shop, 2 coffee shops, mind you, that you're focused on?
That's a great question. So yes, I've lived in Batavia since 2008. Moved here. My husband's family is from this area. He grew up in Batavia, so we moved back here. And but I have actually lived in many places in my life, many states, many cities. I've actually lived overseas at one point. So I've experienced, and I've traveled a lot. So I've experienced a lot of different areas. But when we moved to Batavia, there was something very unique and special about this area. Just the community, just all the little small shops. And I mean, lots of places have small shops, but there was just something very unique and special. And it just felt like the place we wanted to raise our family and the place I wanted to get involved and be part of. And we still, when I go and visit family in other states or travel or whatever, I'm always like, those mountains are beautiful. I love mountains, or that ocean's amazing, but bring me back to Batavia. There's something there and I want to be there.
So you obviously are passionate about Batavia, and each of the Tri-Cities kind of have their own unique personality. And, you know, I've talked to people who feel like Batavia is more of like the artsy, culturally independent, up and coming of the three Tri-Cities. How do you feel about Batavia in comparison to the other cities in the area, and what that means for where it's going in the future?
I 100% think Batavia is unique. Like, we have a unique vibe. We're very welcoming. Not that the other communities aren't welcoming. They're wonderful, wonderful places, but there's just something about Batavia, I think, that just makes everybody feel welcomed and seen and special. And you can see it in some of our local small businesses and the owners here. And, you know, isn't there that phrase like keep Portland weird or something? Like, I feel like I'm trying to bring that to Batavia, like keep Batavia weird, right? Like, and it's interesting as we try to grow in economic development, and, you know, both Mayor Burns and Chris and Megan were talking about all their wonderful restaurants and things they have in their downtown, and Batavia's on the cusp of a lot of that. We have a lot of great places, but, you know, we're getting there. But at the same time, like, to keep our unique individuality as we continue to grow and develop. And I think it's just trying to stay true to ourselves as we make those decisions, you know, both as business owners, but also as a city council, or, you know, as you had mentioned, I'm on Batavia Main Street Board, you know, as that board or other boards. Like, think about ways to grow and to develop and to make changes, but at the same time, stay true to yourself.
Yeah, I mean, and I think you're in a unique position being a small business owner in the community. So you're not just somebody that's kind of bopping around saying, let's do this, without that direct tie. But you're also looking at it from a lens that this isn't about, you know, benefiting you as a business owner. It's really about the community as a whole. And Batavia, to me, feels, even just being down there, it just feels extra tight knit in the best of ways. So when you talk about growth and expansion, kind of make it seem like Batavia downtown is doing this, when really, in many ways, similar to Geneva, there's only so much this you can do. As you're having, you know, economic development discussions and thinking about, you know, decisions being made on the Main Street Board around festivals and the boardwalk shops and all the things that Batavia Main Street's put together, what's driving the momentum to continue to, in the right Batavia way, expand small businesses and the variety of what's being offered to the community, and, you know, your thoughts and impact on that?
I guess, you know, what's driving it is kind of seeing how Batavia has grown and developed over the last couple of decades. Mayor Shelkey likes to tell the story when people who used to live here come back to visit and they're like, wow, what happened to downtown Batavia? It looks so good, right? So continuing with that, knowing the potential we have. And, you know, we have a lot of great historical buildings that have empty storefronts. We have, you know, even though we're kind of landlocked like Geneva with where we can build, there's opportunities in our downtown for new development. So just seeing the potential for that, and knowing, you know, we already have so many great businesses in our downtown. And the more businesses you can get, you know, kind of like what Mayor Burns was saying, like where people used to go to Geneva to shop, but then elsewhere to eat, the more you have, the more supported everybody is. Like more is better, and you can't view it as competition. You have to view it as like collaboration.
Yeah, I love it. Before we wrap up here, I'm going to ask you to put on your city council hat for a second.
Okay.
Something that's been popping up in Batavia that I've noticed is discussions around the Illinois Build Act. Those discussions are actually happening all over the state, but I've noticed it particularly in Batavia because I cover that. Do you want to give us a little overview of what that proposed legislation is and why Batavia is addressing it right now?
So the best way, I guess in simple terms to describe it, the Build Act is something that Governor Pritzker has kind of introduced in Springfield right now. It's still in the early planning part. But it's to encourage development, to encourage it easier to build, because as we all know, like the cost of rent, the cost of owning a home right now is very high, and it's hard for people in young families and young professionals to be able to live in their communities. And so it's to help encourage development and density and to make things more affordable. I think what is making some communities nervous in its current form, the legislation's current form, is that some communities members feel like it's maybe taking away the control from the communities to make their own regulation about zoning and building and development and where things can happen. So that's kind of the back and forth. Like those in favor of it want more density, they want more development, and they want it easier to do. Right now, there's, depending on what community you're in, there can be it can be very expensive, and it can take a lot of time and a lot of zoning codes to deal with. And then those who are more concerned about the legislation as it currently is, they're concerned that, as I said before, like that the control will be taken away from the local community, from the municipalities.
Well, it's really insightful. And it's interesting to see how that will continue to develop in the hopes of creating more opportunity. We'll give you a layup to wrap up. That's our last question of the night. You walk into Limestone, what is your coffee order? Because I kind of stick to like my 2 or 3, but I'm curious what you get in your own shop.
Oh, that's a good question. It's funny. I was actually talking to one of my baristas about this today. She's new, and so we were chatting about this. So in the early morning, I'm a black coffee kind of a person. Like I like an Americano or just drip coffee. Like that's what I choose to drink early in the morning, because give me the strong coffee I need as much as I can get. Later in the day, I am more open to the idea of like a fun latte. So one of our popular lattes that we have at Limestone is called the Hope Latte. And it was actually one of our customers and friends approached us many years ago. He was working on his college senior, like one of his final things he needed to do for a class. And I think it had to do with marketing. I don't quite remember. But he wanted to do something in honor and memory of a friend he had lost. And so he had approached us to do the Hope Latte, which stands for hold on. Now I forgot what P. Hold on. Oh no, I lost it. But it has to do with like, for those who are struggling with like mental illness, and the money goes to suicide prevention services. So, and now I'm really embarrassed that I can't think of it.
Hold on, pain eases. Hold on,
there
pain
it is.
eases.
Okay, pain ends.
One more
Hold on,
latte.
pain ends. Yes.
Nice, yeah.
So the proceeds of that goes to suicide prevention services, which is also in downtown Batavia, and it is a vanilla, honey, and cinnamon latte.
I'll never forget when my friend Val, shout out to Val, texted me and said, go to Limestone, get the Hope Latte, and my life has never been any better or any worse off since. And for now, that is my go-to. So I'm glad that it's yours as well. And I do feel good every time I check out, knowing that it is doing some good to a very important cause like Hope. So I think it's safe to say Batavia as a whole, when you're sitting in Limestone or really any small business in Batavia, feels community. Last time I was in there, I got coffee with somebody, and of course, and we each saw 2-3 people we knew that just
Yes.
happened to be there. And it's
Yes.
not this giant place where there's 100 people. It's very, what are the odds type deal. And it seems like the odds are very high every time because it's a place people like to be, like Batavia as a whole. And it's a better place because of people like you. So
Thank you.
thank you for being, wrapping us up here tonight for Tri-Cities Live and for all you do, and continuing to, put your extra time and effort outside of owning a small business to make it a great place to be.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So, Sam, we did it. Tri-Cities Live.
Number 1 in the books.
Number 1 in the books. Any parting words for your Tri-Cities Central viewers, and just the community as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say thank you to everybody who joined live. It means a lot to us. It's the first one. So if nobody showed up, we wouldn't feel very good about it, but people did. It was successful. Some really great conversations. So thanks again. If you want to subscribe to Tri-City Central, you can do that at tricitycentral.com. If you want to try to make sure that you stay up to date on any future events that Chris or I do like this or otherwise, like I said, follow Tri-City Central, follow Chris on Instagram, get on his email list. Hopefully it's the beginning of many good things to come.
Yeah, and thank you again. We had over 100 people registered for tonight. We will be sending out the full recording of tonight so everyone can enjoy that, share it, watch parts that they had to leave to go take care of their kids or what have you. So be on the lookout for that. And thank you for being here. And somehow we ended in the 1 hour time, which was our goal. So until next time, cheers, go Tri-Cities. We'll see you soon.